In the quaint town of Mossgrove, nestled between undulating hills and a whispers-thin river, life was simple and sweet. The townsfolk were familiar with the rhythm of the seasons, the comforting routines of daily life, and the close-knit bonds of a small community. However, unbeknownst to them, a dark cloud was rolling towards their peaceful haven, threatening to shroud Mossgrove in a cloak of fear and despair. The first signs of the impending storm arrived with the wind. It whipped through the town, scattering leaves and howling down chimneys, carrying with it an unsettling chill that seemed to seep into the very marrow of the townsfolk. The wind brought with it a strange scent, acrid and bitter, like burnt herbs and decaying flowers. It lingered in the air, clinging to clothes and hair, an unwelcome guest that refused to leave. Old Mrs. Henson, the town's elder and wise woman, was the first to sense the malevolence in the wind. She sat in her rocking chair, her gnarled hands gripping the arms tightly as she stared out at the darkening sky. "Witches," she muttered under her breath, her eyes reflecting the storm outside. "They're coming." Meanwhile, in the heart of the town, the mayor's daughter, Lily, was preparing for her upcoming wedding. Her laughter filled the house, a bright melody that pushed back the encroaching darkness. Her father, Mayor Tompkins, watched her with a heavy heart. He had heard the whispers, seen the fear in Mrs. Henson's eyes. He couldn't shake off the feeling that their peaceful days were numbered. As night fell, the storm intensified. Lightning streaked across the sky, casting eerie shadows on the walls of the town's humble homes. Thunder rumbled, a deep, menacing growl that seemed to shake the very foundations of Mossgrove. And then, amidst the chaos, 3 figures appeared at the town's entrance. They moved with a fluid grace, their dark cloaks billowing behind them like wings of night. Their eyes glowed with an unnatural light, and their lips curved into cruel smiles as they surveyed the town before them. The witches had arrived. Their leader, Morwen, raised her hands to the sky, her fingers dancing in the air as she chanted in a language as old as time itself. The storm responded to her call, bending to her will. The rain turned black, a dark, inky substance that stained the streets and filled the air with a putrid stench. The townsfolk huddled in their homes, terror gripping their hearts as they watched their beloved Mossgrove fall under the witch's spell. Lily, drawn to the window by the commotion, gasped as she saw the dark figures. She felt a chill run down her spine, a sense of foreboding that made her heart pound in her chest. She knew in that moment that her wedding, her future, her very life were all in jeopardy. As the night wore on, the witch's power grew stronger. The town was enveloped in a thick, choking fog, and strange, eerie sounds echoed through the streets. The townsfolk cowered in their beds, praying for dawn to break, for the sunlight to drive away the darkness. But as the first light of day filtered through the fog, they realized that their nightmare was far from over. The witches had come to stay, and Mossgrove would never be the same again. In the coming days, the townsfolk would have to find courage they never knew they had. They would have to stand together to fight against the gay darkness that threatened to consume them. And Lily, the mayor's daughter, would find herself at the very heart of the battle, her life intertwined with that of the witches in ways she could never have imagined. But for now, the town was silent, shrouded in fear and despair, as the shadows of the witches loomed large over Mossgrove. The storm had passed, but the true tempest was only just beginning.